Hi guys, so today's the first day of the camper van build. I'm going to start stripping it out today. Just want to walk you around the van real quick and show you what we have to start with. This is an ex-builder's van. It's got a roof rack on top. It was used by a building contractor, as I said. This is the rear of the van. It's got a lot of shelving units and a ply floor in it. Also there's paneling on the side, so we'll have to remove. Also I'll have to remove the standard Volkswagen headliner, all these ply pans on the side, and give the van a really good wash out and clean out as well after that's removed. I'll be removing the rear bumper on this as well and colour coding the rear bumper, replacing the rear lights. I'll be stripping out this bulkhead as well. I'll be showing you every single step from start to finish. We'll be putting the kitchen units along the left hand side like the previous camper conversion I did. The front here will be stripping out completely everything, floor out, insulation in the floor out, the seats out, everything will be getting fully washed and cleaned. I'm going to show you every single step that you need to do your own camper conversion. On the previous build I did change the front from this shape, which is a T5 to T5.1. I'm probably going to do something similar like that, or I might even do something a little bit more special if I can get the parts and they're not too expensive. I do some paintwork to do on the van, colour coding handles and colour coding mirrors. There also is this damage here in the door. I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to replace the door or repair the door. The sill is damaged, so I'm going to have to probably weld and pull out the sill. Okay, so that's everything we're going to do on the van. Now it's time to get to work, so we're going to start stripping everything out. You might think when buying a van for a camper conversion that this ply line adds an awful lot of work onto the process. But I've always thought that if a van has been ply lined out, that the owner has went to these rounds to keep the van in good condition. Okay, so I got the shelving out. There must have been like 40 screws in it. Now I'm going to start ripping out the rest of the ply. For removing the screws I'm using a 20 volt impact gun. I strongly suggest if you are doing a camper conversion yourself that you really consider buying one of these, because it does make light work, especially when you're screwing in and out panels, which would take all day if you're just using a screwdriver. Okay, so I've taken all the ply lining out, and the good thing is that because it was ply lined, the van is actually in really good condition inside. I'd say it was probably ply lined when it was brand new. So by ply lining the inside of the van, it saved dents going through on the panels, which can push out to the outside of the van. So it's actually in really good condition. I'm actually quite surprised of how good a condition it's in. Okay, so the bulkhead on these vans is normally held in with 10mm bolts. This one, it has a few actually torques in it. Maybe they were changed at some stage, but it's just a matter of removing them. And there's actually a plate along the bottom that we're going to have to drill out the plate. There's spot welds, and we have to drill out the spot welds. As I was removing the bulkhead in this van, I couldn't help but think that something was different from the previous bulkhead I had removed on my last van, and they were both transporters, so I couldn't understand why this one seemed different. Okay, so I think this van originally was a van without a bulkhead, because normally there would be a brace. There'd be a angle piece on the floor which you'd have to drill the spot welds and lift up. And there'd also be angle piece on the side, which this van doesn't have. So it must have been originally a van without a bulkhead, and then they went and fit the bulkhead in. He got a bulkhead maybe second hand or somewhere, and he went and fitted the bulkhead afterwards. But that's all the better for us, because it saves us a little bit of work. Okay, so now it's time to put up all this carpet. Why a builder would lay carpet in a van is beyond me, but it does seem to have saved the floor from wear and tear, so I'm happy enough, even though there is going to be a lot of glue that I'll have to remove later on. Okay, so next we got to pull out all these Volkswagen paneling that they put in the factory, because we need to put the insulation on the inside, and then we need to put our own board with the trim on it. So the easiest way to get these out is if you get an old vice grips with a screw in it, and you twist it into the centre of these and you pull it out. That's the easiest way to pull them out, because they're quite difficult to get out otherwise. If you are in the middle of doing a camper van conversion at the minute, or thinking of doing one, send me a DM on Instagram if you need any help or advice. I'm always glad to help people out if I can at all. This is the third Volkswagen Transporter that I've converted to a camper. If you are thinking of doing your own conversion, I would suggest going onto Facebook groups, going onto forums and doing a lot of research before you start your conversion. There's always little tips and tricks to be picked up along the way, and these will speed the process up as well and make your conversion a lot quicker. Otherwise you can get stuck and you can get bogged down, and it can be a bit time consuming, and then people lose interest in doing the conversion and it drags out from weeks to months to years. I know the first conversion I did took me about 6 months to complete. Okay, so that's all the factory liner out of the van. At this stage it's a good idea just have a look inside the panels, make sure there's no signs of previous bad repair. This van is actually very clean. By plylining the van and keeping everything covered, the floor covered, the van is actually in really good condition. Now I'm going to bring the van somewhere where there's a power washer. I'm going to spray it down and wash out all the pockets, the flooring, and make sure the van is pretty much spotlessly clean before we move on to the next step. Because I want to give everything a really good clean, I'm now going to strip out the two front seats, the front flooring and a lot of the plastic trim as well. That way we can give everything a really good wash down and clean out before we start getting everything ready for carpet lining and insulation. For the sake of removing 6 bolts on these seats, it's a lot easier just to remove them and have them out of the way, and then you can clean underneath them and get in all the crevices. Also, this gives me the opportunity to take the flooring out of the front of the van, which is going to need a good clean anyway, and the fact that I can power wash it will make it come up a lot better than if I just scrubbed it or washed it by hand. I have found that over time these floors become stuck down, so it's best to start at the edges to peel it up, but really this is going to take no more than 5 minutes to remove, and it's definitely been the right choice to do considering we had the seats removed anyway. There was a glue used to stick the carpet down to the floor, so I wanted to scrape and remove as much as I could before starting the pressure wash. I ended up using a flat screwdriver to chisel most of the glue away until it started to come up in big chunks. Okay, so I brought it in to be power washed. I've taken the carpet out, I've taken the driver's seat back out, and I've also put it up on a couple of ramps so that way the water should flow back down this way when I power wash it. It should run out this end, hopefully. I'll give it a good washing and a good spray down with detergent. I've also wrapped all the electrics in plastic, so shouldn't be any problems with a short or anything like that. And I have the carpet over here. I'm going to power wash that down as well while I have the chance.
It's so much easier now to wash this flooring that it's out of the van, and it is quite dirty as well, being an ex-builder's van. The only thing with this is we'll have to leave this dry for a couple of days, as there is quite a thick foam on the back of this. This flooring is in quite good condition, but I have read on forums before that if this flooring is bad, especially if it's vinyl, you can actually dye the vinyl, which will bring it up pretty much like brand new again. This is probably the first of 2 or 3 cleans I'll give this, but for the first pass it looks quite good, even though there is a few little stains that I'll have to come back and remove later on.
Okay, so we're quite happy the back of the van is really clean. So now we're going to move on to the insulation step. There's going to be a couple of different types of insulation we're going to use. There's this foil back stuff which will go on the back of the panels and also on the underneath of the roof of the van. Then we have this white foam padding which will be going on the back of the higher up panels. Then we have this earth wool which will be going in the bigger areas just to save a bit of cost, because this insulation can be expensive enough when you're buying it. To stick it on we'll be using spray. It's a kind of a spray glue. You'll probably need a lot of this if you're doing your own camper conversion, because it's quite commonly used. I'll also be using it later on when I'm doing the carpet on the ply lining. So let's get started.
Really there's nothing complicated about this step. We just measure it and cut the size. There's a couple of main reasons why you want to spend a lot of time insulating your van properly. A well insulated van is easier to heat and cool. It stays warmer in the winter and won't heat up as quickly in the summer.
Okay, so now we're going to give it a light coat of our spray glue and slide in our insulation panels.
It's tempting when you're using the spray glue to put a lot on, but I found it actually sticks better with a light coat on. Also, I've noticed in the cold weather it doesn't quite stick as good, so you're better off having it at about room temperature.
For the bottom piece I'm just going to measure out roughly what I need. It's not an exact science, and you can always add in more of this stuff really if you just want to get extra insulation into your van.
Although there will be a trimmed panel going over this, I've decided to double up on the insulation using this white foam. I'll be sticking it on the same way using the spray glue and just cutting it out to size until it fits. There is a lot of different opinions out there on how a van should be insulated. Some people say that the higher the R value per inch, the better the insulation. My advice is to get an insulation that's resistant to moisture, mould and also mildew. And as I said earlier in the video, if you want any help or advice at all, send me a DM and I'll be more than glad to help.
Okay guys, so I'm going to leave it there. We got a great start in the van. We got all the flooring stripped out, we got the shelving stripped out, we got all the van completely washed out, the front flooring washed out, removed the front seats as well. Probably in the next video I'm going to probably cut out the side panels and start putting in the glass. I've probably finished off the insulation and get all the insulation finished out. Ply line the floor and start ply lining the sides. Also I'll be showing you how you can carpet the sides of the ply. Probably get a lot of work done on the van over the weekend, so I should have another video up early next week. I hope you guys enjoying this series, and I'll see you in the next part. Thanks for watching.